passe l'artiste. Super, encore un but sensationnel. That's a brilliant bit of follow-up play by Mahe. Oh my goodness me, what a shot.
Sagosen setter det hen! Han setter den! De I semifinale igjen!
We're halfway through the preliminary round of EHF Euro 2024, and we've just had the greatest handball story of all time. Brian Campion was there to witness Faroe Islands draw against Norway, coming back from 3 goals in the final minutes, 2 goals in the final seconds to snatch a draw. And Brian's not here to talk about it. But I'm here. I didn't see the game because I was busy doing Greece versus fucking Denmark. Alex was there watching it all. And he's going to do the heavy lifting on this first part of the podcast. How you doing, Alex?
I am shook, Chris.
Shook?
I'm absolutely shaking right now.
God.
What a result. I actually had a tweet already typed up. Something along the lines of, another brave performance by the Faroe Islands. Remember, they're so young. They're going to be around for a long time. They'll make an impact someday. But they made an impact today and drew against Norway, which is absolutely bonkers to think about. This nation of 53,000 people, who 10% of which are in Berlin at the moment, and they were able to take down one of the powerhouses of world handball. I think we keep talking about Faroe Islands as being like a small nation, and it you just have to revert back to the original story of this is just a small town, essentially, that has climbed to the top of world handball, led by a bunch of 21-year-olds.
Well, 18 to 21-year-olds. And you said there they took down Norway. Well, it was a draw, but never has a team won 26-26 before. Faroe Islands won that match 26-26.
They absolutely won that match 26-26. And it actually puts a lot of pressure on Norway now. They have to essentially beat Slovenia or avoid losing by a number of goals to go through. But it's not about Norway right now. It is about the Faroe Islands. And it was a unbelievable performance from start to finish from this Faroese team. Their stars, and their young stars really showed up. Ollie Mitten in the first half was incredible, and I knew that this was going to be a good day for Faroe Islands when in the first half Ollie Mitten broke through, took a shot, it got saved by Bergerud, and Ollie Mitten, lying just outside of 6 meters, received the ball back while the whole Norwegian defence was already up in attack and put it back in. They're the type of lucky breaks that you need to get a result like this for Faroe Islands. And it was so impressive. It was just so impressive.
We will have Brian later on in the podcast. At the moment, he's still working over in Berlin. Just like reeling from this life-changing moment that I think he and everyone else in there is having. So we're going to hear from him later in the podcast. But tell me, I was looking at the stats as I was doing the game here in Munich, and I saw in the first half that Elias Elfsson-Ashipagotu had an underwhelming performance in front of goal, but he was pinging in the assists. But what really stood out to me was that they were using the full width of the squad. And looking at the report here and looking how many minutes all of these players got, Peter Bredsdorf Larsen really used his full squad, which is not something I necessarily expected from this team before the championship.
And I wonder if it was a lesson learned from that game against Slovenia, because they did run out of steam against Slovenia. And I think defensively is where they really feel it. So they must have learned that, let's rotate the squad and make sure that when it comes to the end, our best players are a little bit more fresh and a little bit better. And they did start to wilt in that second half. So they had a really impressive game throughout. It was level, pretty much neck and neck until the 45th minute. Maybe it was 2020 on the 45th minute. And what Faroe Islands did really well is they employed some of the best 7-on-6 attack I've ever seen. They didn't concede a single empty net goal, and I think it must have been 50 or 60% of their attacks were in the 7-on-6. Didn't concede it was just so mature and measured, because these players, Skipperatu or Ollie Mitten or Poulsen on the right back, who had a really good game as well, they were just so patient. They would stand there at 9-10 minutes and just wait for Norway to make a move. And as much as Norway tried to just stand back and let them do their thing, just one player would take a step forward and then bang, 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 it's out to the wing, goal. And Nicholas Satchel as well. You have to give it to him. He really stepped up in that first half. He just went through a really good run. When Norway were starting to get into the game, Nicholas Satchel popped up, and I think he basically had a 50% save rate in that first half. It was really, really good.
I saw earlier today you were pushing the podcast we did back in April, where Brian and I were in Tórshavn in Faroe Islands, spoke to a bunch of people. One of them was Elias Ellefson Ashibagötu, worth going back to listen to it for that. Another one was Nicholas Satchwell. And for those of you listening who don't know that story, the too long didn't read version of it was 12 years ago. He was battling to try and get into the Great Britain side for the 2012 Olympics, was a third choice goalkeeper, didn't get in, but here he is now. And I'm pretty sure he made the right decision for which nation to pursue in his further career, because he's just become one of many, many national heroes, if they weren't already, for Faroe Islands.
And you have to say that the fans were incredible. I'll let Brian speak about the fans, but there's just one chant that really stuck with me, and I just loved it. The Colo Torre chant? Colo Torre. They were doing that chant, but with Ollie and Polly Mitten. So it was Ollie Mitten, Ollie Mitten,
Polly.
It's so good. So good. The fans, incredible. I'm sure Brian will speak about it. But it looked like things were repeating for the Faroe Islands in this game, about kind of just into that last quarter. Norway just started slicing through the defence. Faroe Islands were still scoring their goals. They were still playing well. But this defence that Faroe Islands have, which is really impressive, Faroe Islands are one of the smaller teams in this competition. They're not big guys, but they're really active. They're up and down, disrupting the attack, and that really hurt Norway in the first half, because what Norway like to do is, Sagerson, Ruud and Johannesson like to just pass it around a bit and get a bit of momentum, but every time they just got started with their momentum, a Faroese player was there to stop them, take them down, stop them, take them down, and it really frustrated them. And I think Sagerson had a really poor game overall. I don't know his stats, but he was definitely off. But in the last quarter, that defense obviously got tired. It just did. It's such an active defense. It takes so much hard work that Norway were just slicing through, and it was it started stretching. It was 25-23 to Norway, and that's when we were thinking, okay, nice work, Faroe Islands. You've done it. You've really made a game of it, but I think this is just a little bit too much. And even on top of that, so first Norway started getting into a bit of suspension trouble. They had a few pretty bad ones, including a red card for Overby in the last part, they were really roughing up the Faroese players, and the refs didn't like that very fairly. They started getting into trouble. But despite that, Norway still ahead. And then the moment where I thought everything was over, that's when I started writing my tweet, essentially, was when Norway had the ball. They were a player down. They'd gone through many attacks. It was the last pass, essentially. And the skipper Goto, he stepped forward too early before, and the Faroese team was already warned 2 or 3 times to stay back on the 6 meters and not step up on the shooting Sagosen too early. And they were warned, and it was the skipper that stepped forward, got a 2-minute suspension, and you're thinking, that's it. That's the game over. What can we do here? From that, after that, essentially, Norway had a little bit more time because time reset, and it was 56 minutes. Alexander Blance scored a penalty to make it 26-23. And then something happened. And I don't know what happened.
Well, it happened now 2 days in a row, and I thought the headline of this podcast was going to be Iceland's miraculous comeback against Serbia. There I was on site. There I could take you through the blow-by-blow account of it. But this, tell me about it. Like, all I'm seeing here is 59th minute, Elias Ellefson Ashipagatu makes it a 2-goal game. And then, the final minute, 2 more goals. But how?
Yeah, so the skipper came back on. It was 58-22 when he got that goal. Then it was another turnover by Norway. Very quickly, Faroe Islands went up the other side of the pitch and scored a goal. And this was just like, okay, here we go. Things are going here. Timeout by Norway with 10 seconds left. And you went to the bench, the Norwegian players. They've done it before. They failed at this many times.
We had Daniel Högland tell us that last year was the worst moment of his life when they did this.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Björnsson was on the pitch. Maybe he was taken off for those last 10 seconds. But 10 seconds left. They have the ball in the middle, and it's not a throw off. It's just a free. So players are allowed to roam free anywhere on the pitch. And Norway looking very confident, looking very relaxed. I didn't understand the timeout, but I'm sure the one thing that Jonas Villa was telling his players was, do not jump and pass the ball. Don't jump and pass the ball. But he forgot one crucial thing, that the other thing you don't do is bounce when you're in the middle of the court with a bunch of Faroese 21-year-olds roaming around you. And it was exactly that. That's what Reinkind did. He got the ball, and he was super calm and collected, but maybe too calm. And he took a step forward, and a swarm of Faroese players gathered around him. And instead of just chucking away the ball, like he could have just thrown it into the corner where there was some Norwegian players and just Hail Mary, that's it,
Yep. As long as it's still on the court, then it's fine.
And what he did was bounce it, and that's when the skipper, the man of the moment, snuck away from Sander Sagosen and swiped the ball away from Reinkind, started running up the court, and just got rugby tackled by, I think it was Reinkind.
Harold Reinkind.
Yeah.
And I love that Harold Reinkind, he looks at the referee and tries to suggest that it was Asha Bagatu who held on to him. When that did not happen. Elias had only eyes for that goal.
Oh, it was incredible.
Nice.
And the funny thing is, they actually, the referee probably called it a little bit too early, because Ashibikoto was able to pass the ball to a completely free Faroese player. I think it was Hansen, who would have put that away. But the rules of the game are, if it's in the last 30 seconds and it's deliberate, goal-stopping foul, it goes to 7 meters. And I had no doubt, absolutely no doubt, that Elias Elofsson Ashipagotu was going to step up and make history for the Faroe Islands.
It was written in the stars. And you know what I really liked about it? He scored, and the entire team ran all the way back across the court to their fans. They didn't celebrate with themselves. They went to their fans. They wanted to share that moment with all those people, and it was really, really beautiful. Thankfully, the Denmark-Greece game ended early enough for me to watch those final 11 seconds. So that I got to see live, and holy shit.
That was incredible.
What a time.
And so there's a...
But what was he thinking? That was your question on Twitter.
What was he thinking?
You know, you mentioned the 2 golden rules of this situation. We're going to have an interview coming up with Vuko Borozan from Montenegro, and while I was waiting for that interview, I met Tony Girona, the Serbia coach, our former coach for Ireland, and he and his team saw a 2-goal lead disappear in the final minute, where Peter Djordjic jumped, turned, and passed the ball away, and that's how they lost that last goal. Tony Girona said to us many, many times, the one thing, not just in these situations, but ever, do not jump and try to pass. And he said it to me, and I just had flashbacks to 2012, 2013, when he was our coach and shouting at wing players to not jump and pass the ball.
Chickens!
Oh, it's even at the lowest level of international handball up to the very highest. Those principles have come to the forefront of our minds in the last couple of days, and it's kind of beautiful in a way. But holy moly!
Yeah, and you could see that what they wanted to do was Rankin was going to get the ball, then he was going to pass to Sagosen, and then Sagosen was going to take steps forward. That's what they planned. But the stupid part about that is that they did it on the halfway line. They made these 2 close passes. They didn't try to just move the ball away from their own goal, which would have pretty much, sealed any chances for a goal, even if they did get the steal. And but they got it. Then the skipper scored the goal. 5 goals, 10 assists in the end. And while Skipgotu didn't have the greatest game in attack, it's because Norway just gave him so much attention. He was there's a...
Alex, if you get 10 assists, you've done something
Yeah,
right.
exactly. For a shooting game.
Shots, but you get 10 assists, you've done something right.
Exactly. So there's so much attention on him that he was able to just play the ball around, and some of the passes he did were absolutely incredible, slicing and dicing through a Norwegian defence.
This has turned into the Faroe Islands podcast for this day, and rightly so, because this is the story of the championship so far. We'll hear more from Brian, who was on the ground, but before we go into our chat with Vuko Borozan, anything else you want to touch upon, or is it all pale in comparison now? A lot has happened these last few days.
A lot has happened, and I think we'll go into it. We'll go into the performances of some of the teams. I think at this stage we've seen every team and we've seen what they're capable of. It's hard to judge at the start of a tournament. I'll kind of go back to the Women's World Championship, where France's closest game was that very first game against Angola, which they almost lost and then romped to the World Championship. So you can't put everything on the first game, but it's a wild ride, and every team is good in this competition, and we've seen it now that there's no easy games, and already things are getting mixed up for the main round. Every point counts.
We mentioned Serbia briefly. I think that's one to touch on. Serbia did a fantastic job for 58 and a half minutes. They planned brilliantly for Iceland. The defence was just focused towards shutting down Omar Ingi Magnusson and Gisli Christiansen, and they gave them so little space to play with. And yeah, I think that was highly impressive. Yes, they threw it away in the end, but finally I think we're seeing a Serbia team that are are beginning to show on the promise they've had for a couple of years. Are you worried at all about the Iceland performance based on what you've seen?
I was a little bit worried, I have to say, by the performance, and especially their flow in attack it wasn't great. They were really slow, and they got most of their goals through fast breaks. Actually, both teams were quite poor in the set attack, but both teams made lots of errors, made lots of technical mistakes, which led to fast breaks. And for Iceland, maybe they've just been a little bit figured out. They've been studied by teams, and they know that these guys aren't going to shoot from 9 meters, except for one player on the Icelandic team, and that is Arne Palmerson, who who came up with...
Holy shit.
What? Like, that... There was 2 absolute rockets, and there was a lot of conversation of like, Palmerson has really turned up in this game and he played really well. He played okay. He was 0 from 2.
Yeah,
before the last...
No, he wasn't interested. He was the playmaker.
Yeah.
He had 2 shots early on, and then, the rest of the time he was like, no. And I wondered aloud whether he would, in those final minutes, like, actually take the shots again, because it looked like nobody was... As you said, nobody was going to shoot from outside. Serbia had done their homework. They weren't giving them the gaps that they usually create. So it was either the wingers are going to shoot. They finally figured that out, I think, in the second half, like creating the space for the wingers. Or Aaron was going to have to do it, and he bloody did it twice.
He did it, and that second goal was incredible. The one that rocketed off the crossbar at 10 meters standing, really, really impressive, and broke Serbia's hearts. And then again, another steal. As you said, Peter Djordjic jumped this time. It's something I think teams need to start training that moment. The moment when you're 1 goal down or 1 goal up, and you just need to hold on for 15, 20 seconds, and teams need to have a set play that just gets the ball away.
It really surprised me that national teams and club teams don't train it. Like, it is, and this is kind of maybe borrowing something from, like, American sports, because I think Americans would look at this and they're like, I don't understand how a team can't, like, calculate the end of this game. It's such a thing in basketball. It's such a thing in American football, like both in attack and defense, like how you figure out these final minutes and final seconds of the games. And it happens so often.
It does.
But I don't know. I'm going to have to ask some coaches at this championship, like, do you actually prepare for this? And if not, why not?
Yeah, and it's something as simple as a screen. Like, I know it's not really a thing in handball. Maybe the refs would freak out, but, literally have a bunch of guys stand getting in the way of where the ball wants to go.
An offensive line.
Yeah, just something. There's got to be a better way of doing it. And this time it was Sigvaldi Gudjonsson that ended up with the ball, put it away. And Sigvaldi Gudjonsson is one of the funnest players to watch in World Handball. Yeah. He is the most viral player of all time. His TikTok, I think, from the last European Championship got like 28 million, 50 million views. But he's really amazing to watch. But for Iceland, I'll reserve judgment for a second, because I think Serbia are a good team, and we know how much planning and work Tony Girona does against the other team. So I think he really figured them out.
And they've had the longest to prepare for this team. Like that, they've known that for a long time, that this was the opening game. Talk to me about Croatia.
Croatia
and Spain.
What did we say? What did we say before the championship?
Feed the youth and they will score.
Literally. I talked about it right before the championship. And what did Goran Perkovic, the coach of Croatia, do? He sat down Igor Karacic. He sat down Duvnjak. And he gave the ball to Tin Lucin, Ivan Martinovic, and Zvonimir Cerna, and it just worked. They were just like, they're raring to go. They broke into an amazing lead, and they just looked fantastic, athletic. And then when you need it, you have these old heads who are amazing in both attack and defence, like Karadzic, Dubnjak and Sindric, to come in and steady the ship when you need it, or take over if the young guns are kind of getting ahead of themselves. And it was really good. Even Martinovic, 8 goals. Tin I think, got 6 goals in the end. And Mario Sosteric, that was something that Nedjad mentioned before, that he was a great coup for Croatia on the right wing. 8 from 8, really good. And one of the players my highest scoring player on my fantasy team, actually. So Thank you, Mario Sosteric. But the day belonged to the Spanish goalkeepers. The storyline belonged to the Spanish goalkeepers. And one save in the game from both Gonzalo Perez de Vargas.
1 from 36.
1 from 36. Gonzalo Perez de Vargas and Sergei Hernandez couldn't do it. And I'm sure Rodrigo Corrales, with his painful back that didn't stop him from coming to this championship, was probably knocking his head against the wall at home, raring to be on that court.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of Spanish fans out there after your tweets yesterday, ready to take you down and take us all collectively down when they go for a big run later in the championship. But yeah, I'm not sure if that's gonna happen. I think this is the final. Spain are going to go through the main round. That is obvious. They're in perhaps the weakest group of the championship with Romania and Austria. But it was the ultimate example of this kind of this debate, which was quite a red thread through our preview podcasts about, the holding on to a generation of players which may not be the best players for the team anymore. Croatia finally made that transition. Spain have not done it yet. It's a whole other Olympic cycle later where we thought some of these players were going to be gone. And an example of it is Miguel Sanchez Miguelon is injured. And who do they call up? Viran Moros, who is still playing, and he's playing in Switzerland. He's playing European League, but it's living in the past, and it could come back to haunt us. But I have a feeling this time, my question and my fear that I shared to Nedzad about not believing in Spain could finally be justified. But full credit to Croatia, though, I have to say.
The one time I put my neck out for Spain, the one time I do it, and they show up like that. But you know who is in a great position right now?
Tell me.
Germany.
Oh, yes.
Because Spain have dropped 2 points. Iceland and Serbia have dropped a point going into the main round.
Unless Hungary go through with somebody.
Oops, actually, that whole group is...
I'm making no judgments in that group, as we'll hear from Vuko later. That's wide open. But But yes, Germany all of a sudden are looking at a pretty decent position. They still have to beat France, though, to take points with them into the main round.
They do. But I think even if they don't take points, they're in a pretty good spot to actually beat some of these teams that are going to go into that really tight main round group. And yeah, it's looking great. Has it not been great, Chris? Don't you love handball?
I love handball. I love full crowds everywhere. It's just great times. Germany is delivering in that department, that's for sure. We're only halfway through the preliminary round, still a long way to go. And now, before we hear from Brian Campion, we're going to have our interview for this podcast. And another nice story from this was the re-emergence of big Vuko Borozan, who after 7 years away from the national team is back for Montenegro. And surrounding all of this was talk of him switching nationalities a few years ago. He has struggled since leaving Veszprém. He's been in the Middle East playing. He's been in Asia playing. He's had his contracts cancelled in Zagreb last season. Just a lot of uncertainty about whether he'd be able to get his career back on track. So I, for one, was delighted to see him really in full flow, both in attack and defence, looking really fit and looking really good. So I thought it would be a good chance to have a chat with him about his comeback to the team and how he saw the game against Hungary. Yeah, so Vuko, it's been a long time since you were in the national team, and your return for the first game yesterday was very impressive, I have to say. What was your impression of the game yesterday?
Yes, I back after 6 years, I think.
Yeah.
Now yesterday this first game from first big game, this championship, and we lose. We don't have lucky. We play, I think, good, and we don't play good last 10 minutes because we stay in this score 90-90 and we don't score 3-4 attack, and I think we lose in this 10 minutes this game.
You had a huge role to play. You were playing a big role in defence in the centre, a heavy game to play as well. And in the attack, I noticed a few times like you went down heavily, you had to come off, you were getting a lot of treatment as well. So how's the body feeling after that?
Yes, before I play in Vardar and I play number 2 and number 5 in defence, and in Veszprém I play 3 and 4 and attack. And after Veszprém I always play this 3-4 and attack left back, and okay, myself is good. I prepare everything. Today I am very good.
Yeah, you feel?
Yes, I feel okay. Yeah. Normal. Yes, I like always. Day after, and not good because of we lose, but I'm ready for next game.
Yeah. And was there anything that surprised you about the performance yesterday? Because you're relatively new back to the team.
No, never. I don't surprise because I know who I am and I always believe in myself. I know how I play this handball, and I know one thing. I know prepare myself for big games.
Yeah.
For me, this is normal.
Yeah. And you look in great shape. You're moving very well. I mean, the last couple of years could not have been very easy for you. And this season, you've been back playing in Montenegro. You're gone from the club now, right?
Yes, I came back in Lovćen because we play this EHF EURO league, and I have contract this 6 months plus. And we go out, we don't go in next round, and now I am free because in our country, okay, it's nice play home, this everything is very good, but we now don't have money for play, and now I am free. I have some options, but I want now concentration for this national team, and after we will see.
Okay, well, I think you did a good job of putting yourself in the shop window with the performance yesterday. And tell me about last season, because you didn't have a set club, right, for most of the year?
Last season I have contract with Zagreb, and after 1 month we cancel contract. After I am free agent, I played in ASEAN, in Doha, in Kuwait, Qatar, this tournament and some league. And this is my last season.
And how has that been for you? Because moving around, I guess the level is also not so high, but is the focus then on just staying fit?
I tell you, this level in ASEAN is not same like Europe, but sometimes it's good because in Veszprém I play very big level of handball, and not easy for me, myself, my family, this everything. I have my wife, 3 kids, and I want little rest myself and be more times with family. And I go in Doha and I come here, and for me, I think I restart my career.
So it's a new start then for you, you feel, at this time?
Now it's new start, yes.
Is that also a little bit of your thinking behind coming back to the national team?
Now some people speak he back here in national team because he want find club. No, I have 2, 3, 5, 6 club. Now I have contract. Yeah. I want play national team because I live in my country. I have more time with family, with everything, and now I have time for national team. I think this coach Shola is very good man, very good strategy, and all team is very good. And I think we have chance for something more, and because of this, I come back in national team.
Okay, because as you said, there's been a lot of people talking over the years about you and the national team. Has the coach had a big role to play in that, Vlado coming to the national team? Did he speak to you as well beforehand?
Yes. He speak with me. He tell he want. We speak 2-3 months, and we speak about everything. And I tell yes, I coming.
Did he have to work hard to convince you, or was it just he gave you his ideas about the team and?
Yeah, this a better team. He tell me idea from him and for play for team will be better if I back and I accept come back. Now I think we are in good way. Yesterday yes, we don't have lucky, but tomorrow is new day and we play against Iceland. Iceland is very good. I don't need speak about Iceland and player of Iceland, but we have our chance and we try win Iceland tomorrow when we are here in game.
It's funny because I read an article which you had from, I think it was 2015, and you had kind of broken into the national team
yes.
with 10 goals against Iceland.
I scored 10 goals against Iceland, yes. This is qualification.
Yeah.
And we go in Denmark national European.
Yeah.
Yes, and there I broken my hand against Denmark.
Yeah, okay.
Against them, yes.
Okay. The last time you played a championship with Montenegro was 2016, is that right? At the
Yes. And after this I play qualification for European Croatia.
Do you notice a big difference in the team since 2016, 17?
Yes, I a lot of change, a lot of things change. Previous coach Zoran Roganovic changed a lot of mentality, and he changed a lot of things. A lot of players. Collective is better, and atmosphere is very very better than before. And because of this, I speak with Mirko Radovic, this captain. We play together in Lovćen, and he talk with me, and I accept comeback.
Okay. And you mentioned earlier about the new start for you as with thinking about your family and as a player. Do you feel like you have changed anything in your style as well in the last few years? Because we know you as a big shooting player. Of course, the arm is still there. Have you matured in some other ways, you feel?
Like we are normal people. When you have 20 or 25 or 30, you change some things. You change because you know little more. I know little more handball. I change some things. I understand. And handball is not only this shoot. Handball is maybe you play for another people, for your friend, your colleague. And I change maybe this, but my style is same, but with some more details.
Yeah, that's great to see you back as well. I think it was really a nice surprise in a way to see you in such good form for the team. Of course, this is the toughest group in the whole championship. We saw that yesterday with the 2 games. For the team, is it about the results necessarily, or are you trying to build something for the long term?
Thank you for this nice speak, and I think then we have chance for something more. Yesterday we lose, but now we have chance for win Iceland, win Serbia, and we are here in the game. Yesterday, I tell you, we don't have lucky, and some things now. Okay, I will show it to you. This one situation. You must see my shoot.
Yes, it went over the line, exactly. I said it in the commentary as well.
Yes,
yeah, and they didn't check.
This is one score, but this is handball.
Yeah.
And what we speak something about referee? No. We miss a lot of. We have chance for win. We don't win. This I tell you. In last 10 minutes we must have 4-5 for us.
Yeah.
We can in equal game lose. Hungary play very good. Maybe yesterday he want to win more than me.
Yeah.
This is life.
You could see that at the end. There was a lot of mutual respect between the 2 teams as well. You knew that you were in a battle. It got very messy at some point in the second half as well, but afterwards there was a lot of respect between the 2 teams.
Yeah. No, we are. First, we are friends in core and one core. We play together a lot of times. We play against each other, and we are. All handball people is like one family. I think we know everyone know in the core, outside of core, and I think this respect is one niveau what is up, and I think this is more important than who win, who play. Okay, yes, I want to win every time, but I respect everyone I like, then he respect me, and this is very nice.
I think that's a great way to finish it. And hopefully we'll see you back at the top level with the club as well. So
We will see, easily.
Yes.
We will see. No,
I know you can't give me any tips about who you're joining.
nothing. I will see. Yeah.
Thank you to Vuko Borozan. And if you were wondering towards the end of that interview, it got a bit interactive as he showed me something on his phone. And what he showed me was the shot which went over the line but wasn't given as a goal and wasn't checked on the video replay. So that was a first, I think, for the podcast. But a great chat with Vuko. And now to go back to the main topic of the day in this championship so far, and the Faroe Islands draw with Norway. Brian Campion's here. Brian, you were on the ground again. Seems to be your lucky championship for that at the moment. Two of the biggest occasions so far.
Yeah.
What did you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like last night doesn't compare to many other nights. Not only in this Euro, but maybe out of all the games I've ever seen, I think it was really something special. I don't know where to start exactly, but I'll start with the crowd, I think, because I think the crowd is it's a different beast to any other crowd I've ever experienced before. And everyone knows each other, which is kind of a bizarre thing as well. So it's like a crowd of absolute mates. They're all cousins or aunties and uncles of everyone. They're all kind of somehow a bit related as well. So it really is like a massive stag tour or something. It feels like when you're up in the crowd there. And it's really quite incredible, especially when I'm going up there doing some camera work. They're loving it. Like, you know, a lot of crowds nowadays can be a little bit spoiled from certain countries, and they're not too bothered. But there's an unbelievable energy off this Faroese crowd, and the whole country would have fit in the Dusseldorf Arena, which gives you a bit of context for how small this place is. Every single person, every auntie and uncle and granny and granddad would have fit in that opening match, which is quite incredible. Just to put it in a bit of perspective to how small it really is and how big of an achievement it is to push Slovenia and then to have that incredible finish against Norway. I mean, it was just, I had goosebumps almost the whole game. And I spoke to Ari then, who we spoke to in the Faroe Islands directly after
the Secretary General,
after the game, and he's quite a cool and collected kind of guy, and he was getting giddy, give me a big hug towards the end as well. So it was it was a nice moment, and just like, I mean, so much to talk about, but I don't know what you touched on exactly, but where do you want to start with this one?
I want to get a feeling for how they're dealing with these games as well. Often at these games, you're on the sideline, you get a real feeling for the vibes of the team and how they are on the court. Of course, they're looking very cool, calm, collected, just like they did in those qualifiers, just like they have in the underage championships. Is that the impression you're getting, like being so close to them, that they are just like, taking it all in their stride? Yeah,
it does really. It really feels like they're just like, this is such an absolute bonus that we can't really mess this up. You know what I mean? It's like, it really feels like, and you see it on the court as well. I don't necessarily feel a whole bunch of nerves from them even, and they seem to be able to, I don't know, just totally cope at this level and lapping up the crowd. But it really is incredible how they just can play so freely. And the old skipper, he might have missed a lot of shots yesterday. I think he missed, was it 7 shots? But he still got player of the match. Must be a first for that. But
I mean, we talked about that, 5 goals, but 10 assists as well.
Yeah, no, it's incredible.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, incredible.
The assist giving itself is was worthy of that.
But also the panic he causes with even the shots he does miss. I don't know, there's kind of such urgency to their backcourt that it really kind of messes with people's mind. And Ollie Mitten's 1-versus-1 skills is just, if he's ever a logo of a company or he starts with some sort of brand, it should be that picture of someone getting past the defender and just their arm around his hip as he just goes past. I mean, that is his logo and his brand. That's his 1-against-1. It really is unbelievable. And he's just, I mean, just incredible. I think he's just turned 18. It's just absolutely bonkers. What other kind of players stood out to you as I think your man Poulsen actually was a bit of a rock there as well for them. He came up with some really important goals at some important stages as well.
Yeah, this is what we spoke about briefly before. What really stood out to me was the fact that they used the entire squad as well. Like there was that time that Ashipikotu clearly wasn't firing on all cylinders towards the end of the first half, and then they just rotated the squad. They used all of the team, which I didn't necessarily expect before the championship, but I had seen in their test matches just before the championship against Belgium and a few months ago against Iceland. They played the same team twice, both times, and in one game they'd use their best team, and in the other game they'd totally rotate the bench, and preparing for moments like this. And Alex reckoned it was them learning a lesson from the Slovenia game to use the entire squad. But did it feel like that a lot more of the team were maybe in the game today and had also been fresher because of it? Yeah,
I think it was a clever way to go about it, and I think a lot of people who hadn't seen the Faroe Islands coming into this tournament, I was surprised by what some people were saying about them, that they kind of maybe underestimated them. It's still that they thought maybe when they get to this level then they'd be way off the pace, but I never really felt that, and I think they could beat Poland, with Poland looking like, I don't know what you've seen of Poland play, but the body language is just so off. I don't know, there's something not right there. And then in Polish media there's talk of maybe the coach being sacked after the tournament already, and it doesn't seem like Poland, when you compare to them at the last Euro when they were giving Norway that great game and they really had some good performances in them, but it just seems like they're miles off the pace now. And then you could the Faroe Islands coming out with their tails up. You'd fancy them to get the win there, wouldn't you? Yeah,
it's just a pity that it's going to take a big switch, or a big turn in goal difference to actually get in. They need Norway to lose. They need to lose by a fair amount. They need to hammer Poland and basically turn around a 14-goal deficit to get into the main round. But that's not important. The fact that we've been talking about Faroe Islands potentially getting into the main round, I think, is an amazing story in itself. They could have lost all 3 games, but these guys are all 18 to 21 years old. It's not about the results in this championship. It's about the fact that in 2 years, in 4 years, in 6 years, these guys still won't even be at their peak.
That draw yesterday wasn't about points. That was, we've got the first draw. Well, no, it was about, in a historical sense, about getting the first point. But it wasn't really about this tournament, if you know what I mean. And I feel like if they go out and beat Poland, that's just so huge for them. Yeah. They went and they won a game and drew a game at the Euro. That's absolutely incredible. And it didn't work out, that it didn't make it to the main round in the end. But I think they'll be just happy with getting any type of results here. And I think that's really the feeling I was getting from them.
Talk to me about Norway a little bit, because it must have been a bit of a nightmare for them. We talked to Daniel Höglund before the championship about, like, you joked asking him, like, how does it feel, the fact that you used to be the kind of the hot new kid on the block and now it's Faroe Islands, and that was quite literally what happened in that game yesterday. Were Norway kind of crumbling a little bit because they didn't play bad handball, but that end was a disaster, and were they feeling a little bit of the pressure throughout the 60 minutes because of the fact that they are, the big boys in this?
I mean, I spoke to Daniel directly after the game.
Yeah,
I was walking out to the transport with him, and we were talking about, and I said, "Can you feel somewhat happy for the Faroe Islands?" And he said, "No, absolutely." He says, "I was sad for about 5 minutes, and then I just started feeling happy for the Faroe Islands, because he could just see how much it really meant to them." And he was doing loads of interviews post match with some of the players, and with Helgi, who was on our podcast with them. He was doing an interview with him and his girlfriend up in the stands.
Nice.
So there was a certain amount of and even with some of the Norway players directly after the game, there was, of course, they're like insanely disappointed, but there was something else there that they could almost appreciate what it meant to the Faroe Islands. They didn't say anything along those lines, but it's just a vibe I was getting from the whole thing.
Interesting.
Harold Reinkind thought he was fouled on that last ball. He felt like the ball was grabbed from his hands. But you're never going to get that call at that stage of the game. You're never going to get that call. In the chaos of the last few seconds of a game like that, with all that in the line, you're never getting that kind of foul, I don't think.
Yeah, we talked about the ins and outs of that, and like the fact that he even bounced the ball in the first place, that's like that he was asking for trouble. What
do you make of people saying about Sander Sagsson not stepping up for the last bit? I saw a little bit of that online.
They were just in their positions, I think. Like the ball was in Harold Rankin's position. Why wouldn't he be the one starting it?
No,
I don't
think.
Sure. I don't think that. No. I'm not sure that was probably the idea. Would have been to pass the ball to Sander at some point, and he would run away with it. The man marking Sander was Elias, who then peeled away from Sander and stole the ball. So Sander was waiting there to get it, probably, and he didn't get it.
That wing goal that went in, I think it was at the one which brought them within one, or was it level? I can't remember now. But I could see the body language there, and within one, yeah. And I saw them kind of. Do you know when you see defenders kind of just looking around at each other, kind of just shrugging their shoulders? It's kind of like, this ain't good. You know, it's kind of like they kind of feel it coming here, and I felt like, maybe it got to them a little bit there, but I didn't see it coming, honestly. When I saw them go 3 up, I was like, this is kind of done now, unfortunately. But they really, really dug deep, and I don't know where the hell Elias Skipper grew those massive balls from, but it's really incredible.
Yeah, I was never going to miss that.
It's really incredible to have the balls. Never going to miss that penalty, no. But also, Ting was playing pretty well in goal as well, so it was quite the head-to-head. Bergerud in goal had some really good saves. I think he had 14 in the end, but some really important ones at the end, which I thought actually had sealed it.
Well, that's it. 3 goals up with a minute and a half left to play. Should have been job done. Can we go back to the crowd a little bit? Alex and I spoke about about his favourite chant, the Ollie Mitton, Pauli Mitton, the Torre chant. Anything else you can tell us about the atmosphere in there among the Faroes fans? Well, Faroes and Walter Krintz and Felix Muller, the Swedes who are adopted Faroese boys now for the week.
Yeah, so I was shooting the Faroese crowd. I was like, God, is that an old friend of mine in the crowd there? And I was like, oh no, wait a second, it's Walter Krintz. And then I just had to send it through to the social media guys straight away, because he was there with Felix Muller and living his best life. It's just incredible to see how it just kind of does, how you have national team players from other countries coming in to support the Faroe Islands. And another thing which was really funny, I thought, was the Faroe Island fans had all learned the Norwegian national anthem before the game, so they sang it with them.
Oh, what? Well, you're not serious.
Yeah, I'm serious. Yeah, they kind of had made a conscious effort, and they'd sent it out to everyone, to all the fans.
Wow.
So there's a lot of fans there on their phones singing the Norwegian national anthem with them.
Holy shit.
I can't remember what the reason for it was, but it was maybe something along the lines that they kind of outnumbered them so much that they kind of wanted to give them something back. It was like one of the nicest things I've ever seen.
That is so sweet. Well, good luck to them learning the Polish one in 2 days' time.
Yeah, not going to happen.
But
not gonna happen.
We spoke about it as well right at the end, but I want to get your perspective on this, because you were perfectly placed for this. After Elias scored the equaliser, they didn't celebrate amongst themselves. They all went straight back to their own fans to celebrate, which was a beautiful moment in itself. And you were right there. They were right there on top of you as well, celebrating that moment. Was that the greatest moment in your videography career?
Yeah, I was like on the other side of the court first, and I had to run over, and I dropped so many things running over. Like there was the media managers come back picking battery packs up and cables, handing them to me afterwards because I was skirted over there. But it was. I mean, the expression on Skipper's face when he was just yelling his lungs out, and I'm sure you'll see that clip eventually surfacing somewhere, probably in the documentary, but that's coming out after the Euro. But just unbelievable emotions, like, and just tears and when our old friend Helgi went over to after the game, he went over, and I think it was maybe some sort of relatives, and they were just all over him like a bad shirt, and it's almost hard to literally put in words, because I've seen some people winning the Champions League and huge emotions like that, but this kind of it ran a bit deeper. Yep. And I think everyone in the crowd is feeling like we probably won't have this kind of, this generation again. We need to really lap this up, and 10% of the population we'll never have 10% of any population.
Well, we might have 20% next time. I don't know. That's it. Like with this Faroese team, he said they'll never have this generation again, but they have a long time left with this generation. But there'll never be a first result like that, and that was definitely that's like a watershed moment for this team. So yeah, amazing stuff. Well put into words there, Brian. He said he found it difficult, but I think he did a good job there. And I think we can wrap it up for today. Thank you all for listening. Maybe the end of the preliminary round podcast won't be so dedicated to Faroe Islands, but I think nobody can argue that this one should have been. Thank you, and see you in a couple more days. Goodbye.